and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Kaya Kaynak.
Hey, Joe.
All right, buddy, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Jack Pitt-Brooke.
Hey, Joe.
Welcome back from your summer.
I'm so excited to be back.
Are you?
Yeah.
Great. Tell your face, man.
I'm not a smiling guy.
No, I know. Could you give it a try? Oh, what a day. What a way to start a day. Fantastic. Also, we got JJ Bull.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
All the things.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, I certainly know one thing that's up.
Yes.
Well, you spent a lot of time talking about in the second half of the show.
I assumed I was getting cut. Actually.
Well, no, that bit's getting
getting
bleeped right there, but it's the only time that word's getting bleeped later in the show. Once you're in a little bit later.
But speaking of those,
let me do a little parental advisory warning. Oh no, you go first, and then I'll do that.
oh well.
What have you got there, JJ?
Well, I've got my album that's come out now. I want to say John's book is out like as we record.
Oh, it's out today,
week,
John's
yeah.
book. Yeah.
So that's a very important thing. I don't want to take away from his book. I also, for the last year, have been working on this album behind the scenes. It's driven me to exhaustion. I'm very tired, but it's come out. You can buy it on vinyl. You can stream it on Spotify, things like that.
Can I look at the record?
Please have a look.
While you're
It's
talking?
there. You can get it online off my shop, or I'll have it at gigs. I'm also going on tour with Golden Look and Chain in a few weeks.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah.
The Welsh band.
Yeah, so please come and see me. I'll be on first, so please come down.
Oh, look at that. You've got the pink on the...
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
It took a lot of effort, and your sister helped me a lot with the artwork to make sure it was ready for print.
Well done to my sister.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Alice.
Great. So where can people get this, JJ?
You can stream it online for free, on Spotify and stuff. You can buy it on Bandcamp as well as digital download, or you can buy the album. And if you buy the album and let me know in a DM or something like that, I'll send you the files digitally to download as well.
There you
So
go.
there you go.
Great. Okay, thanks. And also, you mentioned John's book is out as well. God, we've got a lot to promote today, haven't we? The Spectre of Pep, How Guardiola Haunts Modern Football. We talked about it quite a lot. That's out today as well. So I encourage you all to get a copy of that and a copy of JJ's album. On Saturday, we're releasing a Ring for Analysis episode, which is a little section of John's book. Interestingly, read by John, not by me. Normally, I would read
Right.
on Ring for Analysis, and then he would ring a little bell and interrupt me. But this week, he read, and I rang a bell to interrupt him, and I rang it many times. Many times. It was a lot of fun for me. Anyway, have you got anything to promote, JPB?
No, only myself and my work.
Good. Well, do you know what? A very worthwhile thing to promote, isn't it?
Very
Wouldn't you say
noble.
so? Very noble indeed. Yeah. How about that? Now, what did we talk about on today's show? Plus, Steve Hankey's here.
Hello.
What did we talk about on today's show? Well, it was a big exclusive transfer-heavy football podcast episode today because David Ornstein had, I think, must be the busiest sort of Tuesday into Wednesday I've ever heard. He announced a number of news stories that were occurring exclusively, of course. Now, the first thing that we discussed was, will Carlos Baleba be the space invader that Manchester United need for a successful season? Well, we discussed. Or are the aliens friendly? You know what? That did actually come up a little bit, didn't it? I'll leave you to have 1, 2, 3 guesses as to who raised that.
I would do a whole podcast on that alone.
Yes, I'm surprised you haven't, to be honest. At this
I wish
stage.
we'd spoken more about whether the aliens were good or bad.
Really?
Because I wanted to. When I was just on the verge of saying, I know they're good. I've seen Arrival.
They are good in Arrival.
They are
aren't
good.
they?
They're really helpful.
But they're bad in other things, so it's really hard to know.
Yeah.
I'm
Which-
But
sorry.
who's telling you that?
Let's go over that bit again. Hold on.
Right, let's go back. It's important.
Something got cut, and it was.
No.
Something got cut, and it's not because it was bad, but it was because it could have been considered bad.
Correct.
That's right. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, yes. How boring are bleep tests? Well, when Kaya writes about them, they're incredibly boring.
Thanks,
That's
man.
true. He's a terrific writer, though. It's fine. Now, have...
That was so disingenuous.
Very rude. Well, no, but you said what you're talking about isn't a bleep test.
Yeah,
I'm saying bleep tests.
for the bleep test.
I'm saying bleep tests are boring. What you're talking about is a mega bleep test.
I used to really enjoy doing the bleep test at school.
Okay,
I
well,
did it.
Save it for the bleep
I
test
found
section.
out that I can, if I want to, become a fireman because my bleep test score is good enough.
So, I'm sorry, you have the physical and mental capacity to be a fireman, and
No,
you've
just the
chosen
physical.
to be here not helping anyone.
Yeah.
What a
Well,
if I could be a fireman, I'd be right out there
this is
putting
an
out
emergency
fires.
service.
Joe, I have
of
good news
sorts.
for you.
What's that?
You could be a fireman.
I don't think I could, sir.
Why not?
I'm overweight. Come on. Have you ever seen a fireman that looks like me? No.
They'll have admin roles as well. That you
I'd
could,
break the pole, guys.
You can host a fireman podcast.
What if I went down first and broke the pole? None of the firemen would be able to escape the second floor. They don't have stairs in the firehouse. Anyway, what else did we talk about? Oh yeah, have Premier League clubs become risk averse and even lazy? Oh, we played a rondo. That was very competitive rondo.
It was a good rondo.
It was a good competitive rondo. We enjoyed that. After the rondo, we spoke about Spurs and those promised bombers.
You'd enjoy the hose as well. The power you'd pose.
And then we talk about Arsenal and Arteta's favourite thing, buying another defender. This time it's England's Ezri Konsa. We talk about that. There are several crude or harrowing metaphors or analogies towards the end of the show too. We really lost our way. That's when JJ started talking about all the time, and
that one also bleeped. That one bleeped.
That one was bleeped as well. Yeah, that one. Stick around to the end.
Pro Evo. It's Pro Evo.
Yeah, there was a pro. Yeah, big surprise. JJ used a video game to make an analogy.
I referenced all three of the main ones in today's episode.
Yeah. People are going to hate this intro. Anyway, that's it. There you go. Oh, and no. Well, where else to begin, of course, than with Manchester United, who we can say that David Ornstein released a very exciting exclusive. My favourite Ornstein exclusives always come out of nowhere, JPB. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to. And I think that's what gets the fans excited as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like fans like this sense of not. Fans don't like being in a saga.
Sure,
no one likes being in a saga. What fans like, I think, is not knowing that something was around the corner and then boom.
Yeah. And then boom. Absolutely.
David breaks it, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, then this thing that I hadn't even conceived of this morning.
No need for
right
titillation.
Around the corner.
Anything could happen at any time. You could be at school, you could be at work, you could be at a funeral. Always got to check your phone, just in case David Ornstein breaks another transfer exclusive. Now, of course, the one I'm referring to, I hope you weren't at a funeral when you found out about this, by the way. The one I'm referring to is the exclusive. David writes, Manchester United and Brighton and Hove Albion. There was a few syllables lost in that, wasn't there?
I think you said Manchester United.
I think I said Manchester United and Brighton and Hove Albion. Closing in on a deal for midfielder Carlos Baleba of Brighton, of course. United have made an offer of around £60 million plus £5 million in add-ons, which is felt to be below what Brighton would be seeking to sell. However, amicable talks continue. That's a nice phrase, isn't it? Amicable talks. That's like what happens after my wife and I have an argument, but we want to solve it.
And the $5 million is a bit like now how when you buy anything in a shop, they ask you for a tip.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's like,
here's your chump bar.
Here's $5 million extra.
Can I have?
I wanted 20, but I'll have it.
No, absolutely, I'd take it. I'd take it as an add-on. Absolutely. Anyway, amicable talks continue with all parties working towards finding an agreement for the Cameroonian international to move to Old Trafford. It's also said that when Michael Carrick saw his face, he's now a believer, writes Steve Hankey. Goodness me. Goodness me. Do you think they'll sing that song? Did they sing it at Brighton?
Yes.
I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her.
I don't know if they sang it at Brighton, but I bet they'll do it at Manchester United.
Right. Yeah. Who would they be leaving though? Would it be their wives or I'm a believer?
Brighton.
I couldn't leave her. Leave her?
Yes.
What is leaving?
It's when you jump extra high, but with a sadder face.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes complete sense. Anyway, David continues. Should a move for Baleba progress, he'd join Tielemans, Santos, Kobe Mainu, Bruno Fernandes as first-team options for head coach Michael Carrick. Manuel Ugarte obviously currently sidelined with a fairly lengthy knee injury that he sustained during the World Cup. And Mason Mount, somewhat unsurprisingly, missed the final 2 games of pre-season. Although I don't think anyone's officially confirmed that he's injured. But it might be one of those things where you whisper it and you make it a reality.
He came off early in one of the last pre-seasons.
Yeah.
And there was noise that he maybe took a knock, but
and then didn't play the next 2 games.
Right, yeah.
But no one say it aloud.
And it's really, he's been so good. I've watched almost all of Man United's pre-season games, and Mount's been excellent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you think Carlos Baleba would be excellent? I mean, does he fit the team? Would it be good for Man United?
Yes.
Okay.
There are many reasons. So Man United have got a bunch of midfielders. They have kind of sort of 4 for those 2 positions. And the thing that you'll see absolutely everyone say, and it's correct, is that they don't really have anyone who's particularly athletic, who can really clean up long distances really quickly, that pounces on things and wins them. And Baleba is that. There's much more to
John
him.
McKenzie always calls him the big space defender.
Big space defender, yeah. But I instantly think of some sort of Star Wars poster where he's got...
I think of Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he's doing. So yes, maybe think of him like that. So if the aliens are coming down like in Space Invaders, if you have Yuri Tielemans, his little spaceship would move quite slowly across the bottom of the screen, whereas Baleba would be very quick.
Right.
And so you could get more of the aliens away.
Got it.
So that's what you want, because when the aliens do come, you need to be able to get them away, unless they're friendly. Baleba will be good for Man United in that he's
Do you think they will be friendly?
Aliens? Yeah, 100%. They've been here forever.
Don't you dare get him started, JB. Look, see? No, actually,
I've seen Arrival.
They've been here forever, therefore they're fine. Just that they're all fine. Don't worry about that.
JJ's he's been watching Stargate SG-1. Now, Cara, what were you saying? Sorry.
Baleba.
Yeah.
He's what they don't have. I liked what Carrick's done already. He's got players who are kind of all-rounders in midfield. I don't think you have to constantly profile people with like, he's a 6 or an 8 or a 10, or his data set says this.
But if you were to profile Baleba, is he a 6?
No, I don't think so. I think he's a player who is very quick, so you can use him in different ways defensively. I think he anticipates what other players do really well. So like, if you have the acceleration and if you have the physicality, it makes you better than most footballers anyway. He's got that. But if you can read things that other players do, and there's a couple of examples. I made a video on this for work. So there's a thing when Arsenal are playing out for the back, David Raya, it's just one example. David Raya plays a ball to Declan Rice, pretty easy pass. It doesn't look that bad a pass, to be honest. It's like a normal thing. But Baleba is just sort of sneaking around. He's positioned himself between two players as part of the creeping Brighton press, and then just jumps, makes a little jump, gets to the ball first, and wins that before Declan Rice even realises that he's in trouble. And so that's the kind of thing you get from Baleba. Who he partners is interesting, because I think Yuri Tielemans has got to play for United in that midfield. Andre Santos will want to have minutes too. Mason Mount is doing really well in pre-season, and that's probably where he'll play too. And then you'll back to Kobbie Mainoo, misses out again. And then you think like Ruben Amorim, I read, I think, whether it's true or not, is that he wanted to get Baleba in there because it would help him do what he wanted to do with his team. And then Kobbie Mainoo was like, okay, Kobbie Mainoo in, but now it looks like it's exactly the same thing that's happened.
Right, yeah.
But Mainoo's a different player to me. I think he's more of an advanced sort of playmaker, but not
if you include
playmaker.
Mount, then there's 5 players for those 2 positions.
Well, there is now, yeah. And then you've got the Tyler Fletcher, who needs to get minutes coming through as well.
It's hard to believe that the Fletcher boys are going to make it, though, isn't it? Do you know, when they're someone's kid, you sort of, and the kids...
You got minutes for Scotland.
No, I know, but come on, I could have got minutes for Scotland if I was Scottish,
well,
JJ. That's, I'm surprised that you haven't got minutes for Scotland,
I'm not.
Do you think enough people are sufficiently upset about that?
I think you can keep going.
I could say more.
They don't want to listen to you anyway.
No, that's fair enough.
That's fine.
Well, JPB, do you like this move? Do you think it changes the outlook for Manchester? Oh, you're wincing.
I'm
you're
not
grimacing.
sure. I don't really have much of... I don't know how it would change the outlook for them. I kind of wonder... I mean, if you look at like the attempted move to get Ederson from Atalanta, I wonder, like, do you think that is this like the guy who is this the kind of backup to Ederson? Is it a different type of midfielder?
I think you want that sort of player in your team. I always like, if you're building, I always go back to Football Manager when I'm building a squad. Like, I do that, so I make sure I've got 2 players for every position, but I want to have slight variations,
right?
And that's also the same as real football, which is why that game's good. But like, you've got players who are much of a muchness, like Tielemans and Santos, I think you can sort of replace and they can play together. That's decent. Mason Mount's a bit different. You can play further forward as well. But you've got no one with energy in the midfield. If you're playing football, like any level, and you're playing against the other team, if you're playing against someone who's constantly at you and like he's so strong and you can't really get around him, it's horrible to play against. So you want to be like that in certain situations. And I think that's really valuable for Man United. If you've got players who are good with the ball and they're all right, you can play through them. And so I think, you've got options now. You can play them at different times. And I think that's kind of what they needed to have was the variation.
And I kind of have thought for a while that Man United have been quite bad physically in the middle of the pitch. Like they haven't. I mean, compared to how good the other big 6 teams are physically, particularly, Liverpool in their peak years under Klopp, City obviously for a long time, Arsenal obviously unbelievable physically.
Yeah. And
United just haven't been on that level really at all. I think that often gets shown up.
Well, they were playing Casemiro in the
right.
middle.
Yeah. So I think in that sense, it makes it. You can totally see why they would go for somebody with Baleba who can start to make up that gap a bit.
The other thing is that like Tielemans, Santos, great. You've seen all the stats where they make lots of line-breaking passes. And like in your midfield, like I want to see a midfield for any team where they can actually play through lines, they can play passes and win the game that way. That's really nice. But Baleba is one of these that can just carry it past people. Like I think that's what Mainoo does more as well. He's more of a sort of carrier with it, but in tight areas. He's really good at that, but it's very specific. There's a bit of the sort of Rico Lewis is about Mainoo for me. Like he's obviously a very good player, but I don't know if you need him all the time. So that's maybe why he's not getting starts all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas
Baleba could
Baleba
also feasibly be back up for Fernandes as well.
I think so too. That's maybe where he'd end up.
As well as Mount.
Yeah, he'd actually suit playing in like a 3-4-3 as one of the ones behind the striker. Anyway, I digress. But Baleba, able to win the ball, because he does that very well, does that all the time, and then just bounce forward. The only thing is that, like, when a couple of seasons ago, when he was linked with Man United, maybe last season, and then he got taken out of the team, I think there's to do with injuries, so correct me if I'm wrong.
He had a pretty poor season.
Yeah.
The statistic that's floating around a lot is that he was substituted before halftime or at halftime in 4 games for Brighton. And so relative to the season before, where everyone thought, wow, this is a guy who's up there with all of the £100 million transfers of this summer.
Yeah.
Actually, he fell away a little bit. And I think that's one of the reasons why the price tag seems to have come down.
Well, it's super interesting with young players because they are generally inconsistent. And when they tend to, like, Brighton's scouting is obviously very good. Everyone knows that, but everyone's scouting now is pretty good. And so you're meant to go in this trajectory that's just like that all the way up. But if things get in your way, there's like hurdles and, you know, roadblocks and stuff like that, I guess you can get derailed. The problem will be he's lost his confidence along the way, because I think a lot of elite players never get a dunt in confidence ever, whether injury or whether it's if you feel like your body's just invincible, you're fine, you can carry it through.
If you're a psycho,
if you're constantly going up in your career, then you have this confidence that you're going to go to the very, very top, and then you can drive that, and that's what you get through the mentality. Yeah. So I don't know enough about Baleba, whether that's anything that's happened to him, but like he did get out of the team.
Apparently, he's always been one of those leader type guys. Do you know what I mean?
Right?
One of those leader type guys.
Okay,
you know, it's pretty exciting, isn't it? Anyway, what was I going? Oh, do you know what I was going to say about Carlos Baleba though? Before we move on, Manchester United's transfer dealings this summer, Kaya. Well, it's easy to say, isn't it? Because the window, the season hasn't started yet. Maybe they'll have a terrible season, and we'll all look back on it retrospectively and say differently. But it's tempting to say that they've done quite a good job. They're certainly. We're not seeing the Manchester United team of old that, you know, will chase transfers right into the end of August and pay hundreds of millions of pounds. And if you consider that between Andre Santos and potentially Carlos Baleba, if the rumours about price are to be believed, that they've managed to buy both of those for what it's cost Manchester City to buy
Elliot
Anderson, for example, or it's cost Spurs to buy Sandro Tonali.
Yeah.
That's pretty good business, you'd have to argue.
Yeah, I think United's transfer windows over the past couple of summers have gone in like areas of focus on particular bits of the squad. So last summer was all about improving the forward line, which is why they brought in Sesko and Burmo and Cunha. And it seems like this summer has been all about improving the midfield. And I think if you look at...
They're really finally following David Moyes' advice,
I know. They'll get to the defence eventually.
I honestly feel like we mentioned that quote every single
It doesn't
episode,
get mentioned enough. It needs to be mentioned more.
It's so broad that you can apply it to almost any conversation.
Exactly, any context in life. Yeah. But they last season, when they were at their worst under Ruben Amorim, I would say, was when they looked like they had no legs at all in midfield. And they've come a long way since it was Casemiro and Eriksen playing as a 2. Yeah. Like you look at the options they've got now, it'll be Baleba, Santos, Tielemans and Mainu. That 4 is a good 4. And if you look at how many games they're going to have to play this season as opposed to last season, it's a 4 that they needed as well. So they've replaced Casemiro with essentially 3 players, and all of whom can do what he did, I think, last season. Maybe not the leadership and maybe not the goals from set pieces, but the other stuff they can do really, really well. And I think Baleba was an important addition, because if you look at sort of the matchups of that 4, you kind of pair them together.
It hasn't happened yet. We should say.
Sorry, Baleba would be a good addition.
Except in my video when it definitely has.
yeah. Hypothetically, it would be a great one, because I think Tielemans and Mainu kind of works, but then you end up sacrificing a bit what Tielemans is good at. Tielemans and Santos kind of works. Again, Mainu and Santos works, but I think you put Baleba alongside those 3, it allows them to flourish a bit more. And yeah, he's like JJ was saying, he's a big space defender. He can cover lots of ground. I think he was top of all the fitness tests at Brighton. They do something called the IFT 1530 test.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of
I
like
remember you writing about
test.
that once.
Yeah.
That was so boring.
Thanks, man.
No, the writing was terrific, but the story about the bleep tests. I kept saying, "Oh, they're bleep tests," and you were like, "No, they're special. They're not
better
just bleep.
than bleep tests."
And I said, "No, they're just bleep tests, guy. Tell us what they are again."
Have you got some sort of vendetta against bleep tests from school?
I think it might be against you. I don't know.
Oh, that's fine.
Remind us what the bleep tests are.
The bleep test is...
No, not the bleep test.
Okay.
The Brighton special bleep test.
The Brighton special bleep test is... I actually wrote it down here. So it's basically... They have to run for a certain distance. They have to do it within 30 seconds. Each time the distance gets slightly more, and they have to run a little bit faster. Yeah. I think it gets 0.5 kilometers bigger each time, and they have to keep completing it in 30 seconds each time.
Right.
And the idea is that you are mimicking the kind of short sprints and stop-start that you would need to do in a match situation.
It's like a mega bleep test.
A mega bleep test, exactly.
That sounds a lot like the Gasson test.
Very similar, I think.
Which is something that Pochettino always gets his team to do. I think the Gasson test is 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off.
Yeah.
But the distance that you do in that 45 seconds increases steadily with each iteration, basically.
Yeah.
So it gets harder and harder to do.
The Gasson test is actually something I do every day. Just whenever I'm leaving the house, I just pop back in, check the stove, and then
I knew where that was going.
The Gasson.
But I'll leave the window wide open.
Do you not have like a modern thing with electric only?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
and that's why
that was a lie then.
Every day I'm foiled because I go, oh yeah, there isn't any gas in the house, except when I've been
classic
drinking a fizzy drink. Anyway,
can I suggest another use for Baleba as well?
Yeah,
is that because they've got obviously Bruno Fernandes is their number 10, is always there. There's a chance that don't play that sort of same shape forever. And so you can then play like a 4-3-3. You can have someone drop in deeper to pick up. I mean, shapes, numbers don't really matter anymore. But there's a chance that Carrick can then change things from game to game, play with a different sort of midfield shape, a different, like an inverted triangle rather than the one there.
Yeah.
And that could be what they're thinking of going forward. Because I wonder if Bruno Fernandes plays every single game again this season even.
Yeah.
Tielemans can play that 10, but in a very different way.
That's true.
To Bruno as well. So then you drop in either side of whatever the 6 is. And the 6 wouldn't be Baleba because it's not what he does. He's not like... Yeah, I think he's just a midfielder who wins the ball back.
Right. Mm-hmm. Some people have suggested that he could be cover for Luke Shaw as well, because the next signing that we were all expecting Manchester United to make was a left back, and they haven't done that yet. So who knows? Maybe they will before the season is out. It's another, though, Jack, in a long list of transfers that have happened this summer that have been inter Premier League transfers, aka transfers from one Premier League team to another. Obviously, as we would expect, these are mostly Big Six teams or traditional Big Six teams, and then signing from the smaller teams. In some ways, it feels like a return to the past. This used to happen all the time in the early 2000s. Alex Ferguson did this for years as the Manchester United manager, but then I felt like it stopped for a while and it's returned.
Yeah, I mean Ferguson still. He's still got a lot of players from abroad, including some fantastic.
Gabriel Oberton.
I was going to say Ronaldo, Evra, Vidic,
yeah, sure,
and so on. But I think that
Eric Jemba.
I think the striking thing about this summer's market has been how many Premier League to Premier League transfers there are, and how expensive they are. They're so expensive. Like I don't think I don't think the Baleba fee is that excessive. But I think in the main, if you look at so many of these guys, whether it's like Elliot Anderson, Morgan Rogers, Tonali, Matheus Fernandes, Bruno Guimaraes, like Ezri Konsa, obviously on his way to Arsenal as well. So many of these, they're all really good players, but I think that on average, I feel like so many of these Premier League to Premier League deals, they feel like to me like they're like kind of 120% of market rate. Like particularly the case like Morgan Rogers feels like more than market rate. Like Tonali feels like more than market rate.
Morgan Rogers is English as well, so then it's like 140%.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
And I think that, and what's interesting in that context is that it almost feels to me like a lot of these Big Six Premier League clubs is they've almost given up on the idea of going to Europe to find value. They don't think, maybe we can get someone who can do this for 40 million euros if we look in Liga or if we look in the Bundesliga. Instead, it's just like, here's a guy who plays in the Premier League. I know him. We watch him every week. We don't need to go and Y-scout Auxerre or Werder Bremen or whoever because this bloke only plays down the road. And if it costs 100 million, we'll pay 100 million. And I think that is... I'm kind of interested in the psychology.
I love this topic.
But could it be because, you were saying, we were talking about this earlier and you mentioned the idea of Brighton, everyone leaving Brighton to it. I wonder if you are a Big Six team, you've got loads and loads of money, your choices are, we could circumvent everything and, go straight to the source and take a risk on whether that player can scale up to the Premier League or not. A bit like maybe they used to 10 years ago when they had incredible scouting networks and maybe the smaller teams in the Premier League didn't. But now that every team in the Premier League has the best scouting network in the world, why don't you let them do it for you and then just pick the best ones?
Yeah, like you could, if you're, to choose Alexis McAllister is in my head, right? Like if you're Liverpool, you could go and watch Argentinos Juniors, and I'm sure Liverpool do have people who are watching lots of football in Latin America, and see, there's this kid called McAllister, like, do we go and take a punt on him? Or you can say, well, let's see how he does it. We'll let Brighton do the hard yards of going to go and watch Argentinian football, and then they sign McAllister, and then if he turns out to be really good, we'll just pay whatever the market value is. And you can see it with so many players, like Moises Caicedo, like there's so many players who obviously come through, and it generally, I think it's through Brighton definitely the main club for this, and Baleba again, fantastic example. He was only playing in Ligue 1. He wasn't but there's so many players who will come from, let's say, like a more obscure league or club into the Premier League via usually a Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, kind of the three main clubs for this. And the big six teams, I almost get the impression from them that the big six teams are happy to say, fine, you can be the gatekeepers for this. Yeah. If these guys are any good, we'll pay you 100 million.
Yeah.
And
everybody wins.
Kind of. Everybody kind of wins because those mid-ranking Premier League teams who do recruit really well and imaginatively, they will make colossal profits. And the profits they are making are basically the profits off the laziness of the big six teams.
Yeah.
Because the big six teams will pay over the odds for these guys.
Another thing that's kind of driven up prices, I think, this summer is the fact that Premier League middle classes are all rich as well.
Right.
So they can all afford to hold on to their players for more or less the duration of the contract, or as long as they feel fit, because they can offer wages that are competitive and they can offer certainly more wages than teams on, let's say with Baleba, for example. Brighton could probably offer him more money than he came from Lille. So he'll be inclined to go to them. He'll think, rather than sticking around at Lille, I'll go to the Premier League, I'll earn a bit more money, and then hopefully a big team comes in for me.
The big move.
And then Brighton can say, well, he's on this money, he's worth this much, he's done this much for us, pay us a lot more than you would have done if he was staying at Lille.
I've got to say also, this is going to be a fun analogy, but I like the idea that the young players are making smarter decisions now about where to go instead of going straight to the top. Because I relate this to my life. When I was young, I was a budding musician. Did you know this, Jack? I was a budding musician.
I didn't know that.
You still are, technically.
After that David Bowie song.
I'm budding, for sure. I'm just terrific. Just imagine, fantastic. Imagine the best musician you can. Have you got it in your head?
Yes.
Does it look like me?
Just.
There you go. Perfect. Oh, yeah, by the way, do you want to promote your album at this stage?
Oh, yeah, we'll do it after.
You already did it in the intro, didn't you?
I did it in the intro.
Yeah.
But remember, you can stream it now. Or buy it.
Anyway, when I was a young man, when I was just a little boy, I had a lot of...
Raheem Sterling said to me...
I had a lot of major label record interest in what I was doing at the time. And I didn't know this about me, and I wonder if people do know that what happened to me was I first got approached by lawyers. Do you know music lawyers, right?
Wow.
So as it turns out, I don't really know anything about this because it was a long time ago, but as it turns out, you sign with like lawyers first, and then they help you facilitate. It's a bit like having an accountant or something. Do you know what I mean?
An agent?
Not an agent. This is the thing. Not a manager, not an agent.
Okay.
But like legal representation. And the music lawyers, they sniff around the scene and I'm sure they get tipped off by people who work at the record labels, and they say, "Oh, this child is good," and then the lawyers go, "Child, find the child." You know. Anyway, so I got approached by all these lawyers. And I went with my dad to these meetings. I went to 3 different firms. And I can't remember their names, so I won't say them.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Very helpful. But I can tell you that one of them were the lawyers of like a couple of very, very big and the biggest and most famous British bands at the time. Another was the lawyers of some of the most famous British bands of the past. And then a third were these like new, smaller independent lawyers who offered me much more help in the meeting and like actually talked about development and talked about, all these sorts of things. And I remember thinking at the time, well, this sounds like a sort of good thing to do, but I was completely drawn by the big names. It was like I signed for Manchester United instead of Brighton. And then I regretted it afterwards because I remember thinking back and thinking, oh, actually, I think Brighton would have helped my skill level. I would have played week in, week out. I wonder if maybe later I would have signed for Manchester United instead of, doing it at the beginning and getting stuck in the academy and then my dad died.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's perfect analogy. Well, that is good. Apart from your dad dying, which obviously was a bad thing.
There's something in my drink. Ugh. Right.
It takes a very far-sighted player, a young player, to say, if they have like a big six English team offering them a massive contract on far more money, to say, no, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
And because people, they'll always have in the back of their mind, well, what if I don't make it?
Exactly.
What if I turn down the big English money and work on my career and then I break my leg next week?
And you can't criticize them for it either, right? Because as JJ said, most of these players come from backgrounds where that as soon as they get that first paycheck, it's going to their family, right? It's not like they're keeping it. Maybe they'll buy a car or something, right? But like so many of these players that come from around the world, they immediately have 10 dependents back home. You know, so the notion of turning down money that you hope you'll have an improved contract later, I think it's very tricky.
It's just reminded me for some reason about that little tweet I'd shared the other day, where Arsenal spending a lot of money in the transfer window, or all teams are, when you can just buy Leicester City for 200 million.
Right.
Full access to
Use
their
them
players.
as a development team. I like it.
That's probably what's going to happen in the future. Yeah.
Now, do you know what else takes a far-sighted player to win?
Yes.
It's a rondo. Okay, now it's rondo time. Now, immediately after this advertisement break. Yes, I hope you enjoyed that advertisement break. Now it's time for a rondo. It's Jack's favourite moment of the week. Here we go. Now here's how the rondo works. I ask a question that has multiple correct answers. We go around in a circle. We give correct answers. If we give incorrect answers, we are rejected from the rondo. If we give an answer that someone has given before, we are rejected from the rondo. I will tell you, Jack, on Monday when we played this game, 2 players in succession gave an answer that had been given before. Active listening. Listening. That's the key to the rondo. Okay? Now, we all know we've all got our own strats. Here's the question this week. Okay?
Did you build this in mind with Jack being here?
No. Okay. Although, maybe because I think the person who might struggle the most is Kaya.
Oh, good.
Simply because of age.
Okay.
Although, and you've never really shown that before. Your knowledge of
age,
your knowledge of Premier League players before your time, has been, mostly okay.
Jack has elite knowledge. This is like playing against a pub quiz champion.
You can't bill anything against Jack.
I do feel like a small team has qualified for Europe, and now I'm going up against the big boys in Jack Pitt-Brooke.
Well, now listen. The question is, what I'm looking for are the 20 most used players by the manager David Moyes. So the 20 most used David Moyes players. What I can tell you is that one of these players was not in the Premier League. Okay? So there's at least one player on this list that wasn't a Premier League player. Just let you know, Kaya, you'll never, ever, ever get that one. Okay?
Oh, yeah?
So don't even bother thinking about it. I'm saying that for Jack. Jack might get it.
Uh-huh.
I don't think JJ will. But anyway.
Am I allowed to do a quick David Moyes career? Just to remember his clubs.
If you would like to.
Just to remember where he was.
Oh, no. You can't look. I thought you were going to say it aloud.
Oh, okay, no, yeah.
No, you can't look at where he was. You can't look at where he was. If we get there, I'll help.
Fine, I think I can do this.
Okay. Kaya, let's start with you because you are at a disadvantage.
Tony Hibbert.
Tony Hibbert is on the list. Actually, do you know what? Tony Hibbert's 4th on the list with 303.
Nice.
I already know I'm not going to win this. Leighton Baines.
Leighton Baines is on the list. 246 appearances. JPB.
Thomas Souček.
Thomas Souček. Well, Thomas Souček, I think you mean. Come on, let's get him what we can. Right? Get him what we can.
I think that counts as a disqualification.
I think. Yeah, Thomas Souček is on the list. Interestingly enough, might be worth you knowing, he was halfway down the list. Okay? So they're not all going to be Everton players. Kaya.
I'm going to take a risk. Yeah.
Don't take a risk. It's very early.
I haven't got any choice.
Well, then it's not a risk, is it?
It feels like a risk to me.
If you've got no other choice, then how could it be a risk? Surely taking a risk implies that you could do something safe.
I could not take a risk.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to choose this player then.
Yes.
I'm going to go for a goalkeeper and go for Tim Howard.
Tim Howard is almost number 1 on those.
Really?
310 appearances. Yeah, way up there.
Okay.
No risk. The least risk you could have taken. JJ.
Tim Cahill.
Tim Cahill, 278 appearances. Yes, he was on the list, pretty high up. JPB, back to you. Now listen, you better pronounce the player's name right this time, or I'll have you out of the studio. Okay, sir?
Mikhail Antonio.
Yeah. Mikhail Antonio is on the list. 182, right at the bottom, bar 1. Okay, so that's where the line is. Kaya?
I'm going to... Oh, no, I'm not going to stick with the goalkeeper. I'm going to go Phil Neville.
Phil Neville?
Ooh.
303, he's there. Yeah. Absolutely, very near the top of the list.
That's a good shout.
JJ?
Stephen Pienaar.
Stephen Pienaar's there, of course.
Yes.
It is.
Nice,
Lord
nice.
Pienaar. Back to you, JPB.
Mikel Arteta.
Mikel Arteta, of course, is there. 209 appearances, absolutely.
Really good.
You got a nice little animation from Steve Hankey in the room there as well. Kaya?
Sylvan Distan.
Sylvan Distan is not there, Kaya. You're out of the game. He's out of the rondo. Okay, JJ Bull, it's just you and the egghead JPB.
Oh.
Now, have you ever thought about doing eggheads or something like that?
No.
Okay, maybe you could consider it. If there was a football version, would you do it?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you know why I wouldn't do it?
Why?
Because I would lose narrowly to Charlie Eccleshare. I would get so rattled that it wouldn't be worth it.
Oh, he's better and cooler. What a shame. JJ?
Seamus Coleman.
Seamus Coleman is not on the list. No,
Really?
he's not on the list.
I thought that was a brilliant shout.
Do you know? I think it's a very good shout. However, I think he was there a little later.
He's too young.
Too young.
I reckon
Okay.
for me, he would have he's like a post-Moyes Everton player.
Yeah. I think he was there. I think he was famously because he was partnered with Leighton Baines. He was there for the last couple of years.
Because Moyes
but
left in 2013.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Long time ago. Anyway, well done. Well done for playing. JPB, you have to get one more correct in order to win the game.
Phil Jagielka.
Phil Jack. Of course, Phil Jack.
Ah.
How many more do you think you could name? I can tell
Can I
you
do
that
one?
there are 10 more players on the list.
Leon Osman.
Leon Osman's there,
Ah.
yeah.
Aaron Cresswell.
Cresswell is there. Just,
Fabianski?
no.
Okay, I'm glad.
No more, you're out.
Okay.
Joseph Yobo.
Yeah, Yobo's there, 2 of 59. And what you're doing is you're getting the next best. So could you keep going?
This is excellent.
So I think left from that, I think we've got most of the Everton team. Yakubu.
Yakubu is not there. No. But you've missed Marouane Fellaini.
Fellaini.
Oh.
Fellaini was there. He wasn't
United as
that
well.
close to the top, but he was there. And apart from that, Jared Bowen, of course.
Yeah,
you
but I
could
had
have
Bowen
had.
on my short list. Oh,
Lee Carsley you could have had. John Macken.
John Macken.
190. Victor
Score from
Anichebe was
halfway
there.
line.
Victor Anichebe.
Pablo Fornals you could have had. I don't know.
Lanzini.
And then there's one player who I had to look at his Wikipedia. He played for Preston, North End.
Oh, I assumed he'd be a Sociedad player, but he wasn't there that long, was
no,
he?
he was
So-
only there for a season. Mark Rankine.
Mark Rankin, yeah.
Mark Rankin. 181 times, I assume that is for Preston, but I didn't double check that. There we go. Okay, JPB is today's Rondo winner, and I'd like to congratulate the room. No re-uttered issues. You know, you went out on full-blooded tries.
That was a good one. I like that
Great
one.
one. Well played,
was
everyone.
good.
Well played,
I
everybody.
feel humbled.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, now to Spurs with some promised bombers. Oh, I love it when a bomber's promised. As we said earlier, I like it when a bomber is a surprise, but I also like a promised bomber. Now,
I've missed the bomba thing. Could you please explain the bomba to me?
well, bomber is what you say in Italy, in Italian, not just when you're in Italy, but when you're speaking Italian. Although you don't have to be speaking Italian. I'm saying bomber now. There's a lot of caveats to what I'm saying. I could keep undercutting what I'm saying, but I won't do that. Bomber is like a bomb.
Oh,
That's it. You know?
It's like dad bomb. It's like, it's great.
It's da bomb.
see, that bomb is
Like
good.
hot one.
So say bomb,
Bomb.
and now you're Italian.
The bomb.
Bomber. There you go. Anyway, bomber is it's a term used to express how big and exciting and splashy something is. You know, it's like an exclusive, like a bomber.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I like it.
There we go.
Promised Bomber to me sounds like an obscure player that Brighton would sign.
Promised bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And the reason we're using it in this context is because a week or two ago, Roberto De Zerbi, in his post-match interview after some friendly or some press conference, he said, "We are expecting another bomber," and everyone said, "A bomber?" And then the next day he said, "Oh, I everyone's a bomber. I didn't mean like a bomber. I meant," and then he started to list all his players and talk about how they were all bombers. And,
Oh, no.
yeah, it was quite fun. Anyway, so we're mildly mocking Bomber, but also at the same time,
I like it.
We're saying Bomber's an exciting thing. Now, earlier in the season, there you go, Roberto De Zerbi told us there would be a Bomber signing. Beyond the work Tottenham had already done to that point, well, it seems like Roberto has kept his promise, writes Steve Hankey. Yesterday, at the time of recording, David Ornstein, who's had an enormous week, by the way, and is also responsible for the next topic that we'll be talking about, reported that Tottenham Hotspur are working on a deal to sign Savinho and Omar Marmoush from Manchester City. Nothing finalised yet, but Tottenham's talks with cities are advancing, JPB. Pretty exciting news, isn't it?
Yeah, they've had a strange window, Tottenham, in the sense that they have really methodically gone about their business in order. Maybe people find that satisfying, but they kind of started with they quite literally started with the defence. So like the first guys in were they got in Robertson and Senesi on free transfers after their contracts expired. Then they got in Van Hecke from Brighton, and then I think almost exactly the same time they got in the two central midfielders, Fernandes and Tonali, and they were leaving the front line until last.
Yeah. It is a bit like they've bought a whole new team when you say it like that.
Yeah. But but that means that like at the time of recording, they're left with last season's not very good front line, which is, I mean, they have quite a lot of good attacking players who are injured. Like they've got some long-term injury for Kudus, long-term injury for Kulusevski, long-term injury for Xavi Simons,
Maddison's returned from a long-term injury.
Yeah, Odebear as well, another ACL injury. And the guys they have left are basically Matisse Tell, Richarlison, Dominic Solanke, and even Solanke's not been able to play a full part in pre-season. So it's relative to the very elevated level in the rest of the team, the front line is at the moment it's kind of slim pickings, right? And Spurs fans have definitely been getting a little bit antsy, I think, in the last few weeks, thinking, we've got these nice new defenders and midfielders, but when are we going to get some equivalently level attacking players too? We've got to get those guys in. De Zerbi has been pretty open about this as well. He said, I think on the preseason tour in Australia, he said, we've got to complete the market. We still need 2 or 3 more players. So obviously they are still looking for those guys. And if they do complete these signings of Savinho and Marmoush, I think that would kind of elevate the level of their front line. Their front line at the moment, ahead of their opening game at Brentford on Saturday, is not that good.
No.
It's certainly not and it kind of stands out in a team where you have fantastic, Van der Ven and Van Hecker, I think one of the best centre-back partnerships in the Premier League this season. Tonali and Fernandes, I think, can be really exciting in the middle of the pitch. Porro's just won a World Cup. They've got a lot of really good players. Yeah. And then you get to the front line and it's just not on the same level.
Yeah. I mean, was Omar Marmoush a surprise to you? I'd never heard that one before. I think we've been talking about Savinho all summer. But Omar Marmoush being snuck in there, that was the real... that's what makes this a bomber for me.
Yeah, I mean, he does kind of fit the profile. Further to what we were saying earlier, Spurs have gone for an incredibly, Premier League-y approach this summer. They've been very ambitious in terms of money. They're spending money on fees and salaries that they would never have spent before. They've completely changed their approach to how much they're willing to spend. But the profile of players they're looking for is very much just guys who are good in the Premier League. I mean, Marmoush is slightly different because I think his reputation is more based on what he did in Germany than what he's done at Manchester City, because he's not really done an awful lot at Manchester City.
Still has scored quite a lot of goals in the Premier League and causes a lot of trouble regularly. Yeah,
but he's clearly a really good player, and so I think Spurs must have thought, well, we will overpay if we have to, but we just want guys who know the league.
Yeah.
We're in a rush. We've got this fantastic new manager in De Zerbi. We want to hit the ground running this season. We don't really want to get in half a dozen very good talents at 50% of that price from France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and then hopefully in 2 years' time we'll be good. Because the fact is, if you've got a really good manager like De Zerbi, you want to make the most of it. You don't want to be managers like that don't necessarily want to do project building with, I just found this fantastic 21-year-old from Bodo Glimt or Kaiserslautern or AC Ajaccio. I'm just listing teams here. But you know what I mean? That's not what top managers want.
Yeah.
Top managers want, give me some 26-year-olds who can win now, basically.
Yeah. Well, also, do you think that, it's easy, tempting to see these Man City players as sort of Premier League cast-offs, because Man City, they build big squads. There are players always on the fringes of it. But I feel like with Savinho and with Omar Marmoush maybe particularly, I feel like they came in at a time where Guardiola was trying to solve specific tactical problems that were causing their transition defending to concede lots of goals all the time. And so maybe the fact that they're not in the squad and they're on the fringes isn't necessarily reflective of the fact, like it might have been in the past, that they're not good players or they don't play well, but that they didn't fix those problems and then they were surplus to Guardiola's requirements.
Well, maybe. That could be part of it. I think, Savinho, for example, is clearly a really good footballer, but he's not Riyad Mahrez, who is a one-off and one of the best I've ever seen in the Premier League. So that's basically what he was signed to do, is replace Mahrez. Mm-hmm. And if you take all the tactics out of it, just signing good players, there's something in Savinho there, but he's just not got the acceleration, or he's not massively quick. He doesn't always make the right decisions, and he doesn't always do the things that we think he can probably do. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I feel that somewhere like Spurs, where it's not the elite of the elite of the elite, then that's the kind of place where he probably suit more. So seems like a good signing for me for him going there. Mm-hmm. Same with the other chap, I've forgotten his name, Marmoush. So did very well in Europe. Played very well at Frankfurt. He was at before. So like I said, that he can definitely score, and I think he makes them better straight away. They've got so many injuries; they have to have players who are reliable and can play, and those seem to be mostly there.
Yeah. And you could play off Solanke as well, right? As opposed to like just having to...
Yeah, or playing behind.
Play
Solanke's not going to run in behind as much as you can with Marmoush. You've got tactical options there as well. You have to, as one of the things that De Zerbi did, like John covered it really well, where like, you know, you try and pull the opposition press towards you, and then you keep your wingers high rather than your central strikers. And so then when the opposition's pulled towards you, there's space in behind the two opposition centre-backs, so that the wingers can run from out to in behind, and then you get that ball that's on. Marmoush, perfect for that. He's basically a striker that plays on the wing. So that's really great. Savinho, I think is going to be better at holding the width than someone like Kulusevski when he's back, maybe. And Kudus even, I think, is probably more suited to playing more inside than Savinho is. Don't know if you'd agree with that one. But I think what Spurs have done is exactly what Jack has said. They've basically made themselves a top 6 team with like really exciting signings. The thing they have to get right now is that, and you can't really guarantee this, but if they can get the momentum behind them, if they can win a couple of games in a row with this new exciting feel, that is the kind of thing you can't buy, and they can ride that all the way to something like maybe special that happens during the season. Yeah. But you want to try and create this winning mentality now, and if they have a couple of, like, if they had a few defeats in a row, you'd be going like, oh, we've signed too many players. This is a terrible idea.
I feel like because of what happened last season with Thomas Frank doing really well in the first few games, that even Spurs fans will even potentially be a bit scared.
It feels like they've sort of burst that whole thing. Yeah, there's like the bubble, like there's a cloud on them. It's like they burst through that, and there's like, oh, we can have nice things. We can like look forward, and I didn't have to stay there forever. I could do this now. It's good.
We are better than Newcastle.
The good thing for De Zerbi is that the bar is so low.
Yeah.
Tottenham won 10 Premier League games last season.
Yeah.
They won 11 Premier League games the season before. Admittedly, they had a Europa League campaign, which they won, but they've had consecutive 17th place finishes in the Premier League.
What would be considered a successful season, do you think?
I think they have to get into Europe.
Okay.
I think you can't spend the amount of money they're spending on fees and salaries. You must be in Europe if you behave like that.
I think successful would be Champions League. I think they have to hit.
And
that
I think
now.
if they come 6th or 7th, I think people will be like, ugh, it's better than 17th. It's 10 points better than, it's 10 places better than 17th.
Sure.
6th is in fact 11 places better than 17th.
Right.
But I think they probably have to get in the Champions League. I think you're right. I think not getting to the Champions League would leave people with,
or maybe not looking kind of like they wouldn't get in.
Yeah, ambivalent. But I think they just need. I think they need to. This is going to sound stupid, but they just need to get back into the habit of winning games.
Yeah.
Like showing up in a Premier League game on a Saturday and you win it, and it's just normal because they've won so few games the last few years that remembering what it's like to be a team that wins. They also need to have no silly drama. Like they've had the last 2 years. It's actually been going on for longer than this, but the last 2 years, it's just been an endless cycle of changes and like changes in the manager, huge turnover of players, changes in the boardroom, senior executives, like the constant kind of churn of this stuff. And they can't and it has prevented them from really building anything kind of remotely permanent. Yeah. And I think you can't have a good team that doesn't have stability. Like you need to have a stable manager who is backed and popular and has the total trust of the players and the fans. And they have that now for the first time in a while. They have a manager who is worshipped by the players and very popular with the fans, and who has a really original, innovative style of play and the personality to deliver that. And I think that is, to be honest, that is like tick box 1, 2, and 3 if you're being a Tottenham manager. You have to have an innovative style of play. You have to have the personality to manage a big club. And they've backed him with money, which is great because, Pochettino didn't always get that. Postecoglou didn't get that. And they had, those were guys who were innovative in their approach to attacking football. Yeah. And they didn't always get the backing. So De Zerbi does have the backing, but they just need to everything has to go smoothly and calmly and no dramas, no silliness. Yeah. And just focus on every Saturday, show up and win the game as often as possible. If they do that, they'll probably find by the end of the season they've become quite a good, competent team again in a way that might even feel a bit unfamiliar. That's what they have to aim for.
Sorry, they're in like a weird space where, unlike most teams who have spent what they've spent this summer, they can probably afford to go under the radar a little bit. Yeah. I think if, for comparison, Manchester United had spent the level of money that Spurs spent this summer, the focus will be on them every single week. They have to win. There'll be so much pressure. Whereas I don't think there will be that level of pressure on Spurs, and I think that's going to be a bit of a superpower for De Zerbi this season, that he can kind of do what he wants to do and slowly implement the changes he wants to implement without it kind of feeling like life or death every single week. And like you say, 6th or 7th would be a massive improvement and a decent finish. But you look at any other team, pretty much, you spend we'll be close to 400 million by the end of the window, something like that.
And just the salaries, like they've got £90 million players in that team now. They've got guys who will be earning, up well beyond £200,000 a week, maybe even beyond £250,000 a week. Those are guys like if you have that, if your squad looks like that, you must be in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I also think not being, but that as much as they must be in the Champions League for next season, not being in the Champions League right now is actually going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
Like I reckon that's probably worth an extra 10 points per season.
Massively.
And it's particularly helpful. Like we saw that with, Michael Carrick at Man United last season. They could go under the radar a bit and they could, like not being in Europe was really helpful. And I do think that particularly if you're a manager like De Zerbi, who is very, very specific about how he wants the team to play on the pitch, needs a lot of time in the training ground, wants to teach the players the kind of precise mechanics of, this is how you press here, this is how you bait the press, this is how you get in behind. Because a lot of that stuff he wouldn't really have done in the back end of last season. Last season was very much about, we're going to keep it simple, we're going to stick together, I'm going to tell you guys how good you are, I'm going to make you believe in yourselves again. Like he was doing... It was a brilliant job, but it was kind of very short-termist, right, what he was doing last year. It was all about just getting enough points to stay up. He was very open with us and saying, like, I'm not going to teach them complicated style of play stuff. I'm not going to teach them, like, different concepts. It's just going to keep it really simple. Whereas now, he does want to teach them the more, like, specific advanced mechanics of his football. And not being in Europe will be invaluable to his doing that. So I think that will be really helpful. But it has to be a one-off.
Where will they finish?
5th.
Okay, let's have an advertisement break. Okay, right. Serious business now. It's time for serious business. It's the biggest transfer topic story of the week. Another David Ornstein exclusive. Some would call it a bomba, not me. I'd call it an exclusive, But as I said, it's the biggest one. The most important one. The one that the fans have been waiting for. The one that when you lean out the window of David Ornstein's top bedroom and you whisper it to the baying masses outside, they all start slaughtering each other. It's Ezri Konsa to Arsenal. Yeah? Pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? I've overbilled it.
It's quite a disturbing image.
I think
Did I overbill it somewhat?
I like what you're trying to do with that.
Have you never heard that there's always people...
Was it meant to be like
Sorry. Have you never heard of this deal before? This big deal?
I think it's a very sensible deal. It's the kind of thing that Arsenal can do. It's wild that a team can pay 60 million or whatever it is for essentially a squad player.
It's 51 plus add-ons. That's what they've agreed to
10% tip.
Aston Villa, 10% tip. Now, as our colleagues write in The Athletic, Konsa said goodbye to his Villa teammates on Wednesday and is expected to undergo a medical today. It may have already happened. We don't know if the medical's happened. Update, we don't know. Konsa, 28 years old. He's 28 years old.
Yeah.
I thought he was much younger than that.
No, that's the thing that makes it sort of controversial. But again, he's Premier League ready right now.
He's certainly Premier League. Yeah, he's almost Premier League over ready.
He'll play till he's 32, 33.
Overcooked.
Don't mention the word cooked on this podcast, Steve. I was vindicated, by the way. Many people came to
Many people came against you
Listen,
as well.
I was completely vindicated.
I don't think you were.
The former Charlton Athletic player showed this versatility, playing in both positions for England at the World Cup this summer. Of course, both positions we mean centre-back and right-back. Kaya?
Hi.
Is this the deal of your dreams?
Yes, in so many ways. Not those kind of dreams you were describing, though. Those are quite harrowing dreams. I don't want to have those. He solves a problem for Arsenal that they were kind of looking at. As JJ says, it's a luxury that Arsenal can be able to afford these kind of players and bring them in. But they did kind of need someone because as it stands, William Saliba is going to be out for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Urian Timber has been out for a long time and it's not 100% sure when he'll be back.
Yeah.
So
they haven't got enough big lads at the back.
No, you can always do with another.
Always.
And as it stands, their right side of their defence is Christian Mosquera and Ben White and Marley Salmon, who is 16.
Right.
So they needed another more experienced body in there. And given the number of games they're going to be playing Premier League, Champions League every 3 days. As we saw last season, Arsenal had a lot of injuries. They went through a lot of players, but last summer's transfer window was all about depth and increasing the floor of the squad. And this is another transfer that kind of falls into line with that policy.
This transfer window is about breadth and width.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
lads that you've been bringing in.
And Konsa offers that.
This is interesting, that Arsenal's transfer window so far. It really interests me, simply because the Vinicius Junior deal obviously haunted over everything else and cast a shadow. But also was so different to the other deals that have been done. If you were to take that one out completely and imagine that saga never happened and view Arsenal's transfer activity or attempted transfer activity as the direction in which you think Mikel Arteta wants to go, then to me, it seems as very much more of the same, please. Let's double down on what we did before. With the Vinicius Junior thing involved, I think, maybe they want to do something different, or maybe the player's just so good that Arteta's willing to countenance a different approach. I don't know. Am I wrong to say this is more of the same? Double down?
I don't think you're 100% wrong. I think there's differences. Bruno Guimaraes is a different midfielder in many ways to what Arsenal have had, because he's very good at line breaking passes, and Arsenal didn't really have that last season.
But he's a big physical lad.
He is. But he offers something on the ball. Off the ball, he's very similar to what Arsenal have. But on the ball, he offers something that they didn't have as much last season.
Right.
I think Solis, as we discussed on Tuesday's show, is a different player to Trossard and a lot more direct.
You're so lucky that he assisted a goal in the
two goals.
He assisted 2 goals in the Community Shield.
Yeah.
Because now Arsenal fans get to sit around and pretend that Solis is like, oh yeah, we didn't even need Vinicius Junior. We actually knew that Solis was the best. Had you ever heard of Solis? Had you ever seen Solis play before Arsenal? Come off. Come off.
I've seen him play against Man City in the Champions League.
When?
A couple of years ago. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
The Norwich City years as well.
I don't like to use
against
the term
Arsenal last
copium,
season.
but I feel like I'm going to have to if you keep talking about Solis.
Fine copium with me.
Do you know it's Solis, not Solis?
Is it?
Yeah.
So do you know why? It's because he did a Solis-related pun on the show, and now that's like stuck in my head.
Quantum of
Solis. Okay, thank you, Solis. Yeah, right.
I've got an analogy for not analogy, it's the direct comparison to, remember playing Pro Evo back in the day?
Let's see how much of an analogy this is.
It's not an analogy at all. But Arsenal now, their squad is very, very good. And what I think signing players like Konsa and having like Martinelli or Solis as like your options in the left wing, what he's now got is like, in Pro Evo, there's a thing that we refer to as the Pro Evo boner, which is when you have the arrow and it goes up. That means you're on form, and therefore you play that player because they're going to be better anyway.
Yeah.
But, if a player, say, is a high-rated player and they're on a downward boner, that's bad. You don't want that.
No.
And so if you have a player who's low-rated on an upwards...
Nobody would want a downward boner.
Well, depends on what you want. But if you have one if you have a Pro Evo boner on a player who's a lower level, then there's a solid chance that you might want to put them in, but they're not as good. So does it empty out?
Does the boner balance out?
Now they have all players who are basically the sort of very similar levels. So the Pro Evo boner does apply.
Right.
And so therefore that's what makes a good team. If you chose like Inter Milan in the old Pro Evos, they had every player. It doesn't matter which one you choose. They're going to be good depending on the level of boner.
Got it. No, I'm with you, man. I'm totally with. What do you think about that, Jack?
The level of boner.
What do you think about Arsenal's transfer window?
I think Konsa and Guimaraes are really good Premier League players, and I think that one of my issues with Arsenal is, to what extent is the squad going to be a bit just like physically and emotionally exhausted by last season?
Sure.
Like at the World Cup, like Rice and Saka were not themselves at all. I mean, Saka couldn't really get on the pitch much for England. Rice did get on the pitch much for England, but didn't look himself.
Yeah.
Saliba's obviously picked up an injury. I just think like the amount...
Were you at the Community Shield?
No,
you didn't go.
I just think the amount of like effort and energy they put into finally winning that Premier League title, plus losing the Champions League final, I think they're definitely it's gonna take a lot out of everyone. And so I think having guys like Konsa and Bruno who can come straight in, that's really, really helpful. I do slightly think that Arsenal are a very overperforming squad, given that most of their attacking players are ultimately like 7s out of 10. I mean, Saka is probably the one who is better than that. But and so I do think that if I was an Arsenal fan, I would definitely think, why can't we just, we've got so much money, we're so successful, we're so big, we're the Premier League champions.
Yeah.
Why can't we go and spend 100 million on an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10 attacking player? And obviously they've tried and failed to do that in the form of Vinicius. And apparently Solis is really good. I haven't seen it. I haven't got an opinion myself, but I do kind of think like it could maybe just do with one extra little bit of quality who could, like a match winner, a game changer who can make things happen by himself. Because I think that they don't really have that, and they haven't really had that for a while.
What 2 follow-up questions to that? The first one is, do you think that it's still their Premier League to lose? And the second is there another team that's made that 8 or 9 out of 10 attacking transfer? Because there's been a lot of money spent, but a lot of it's been on midfielders. I'm trying to think of a team that have
So I would certainly make Arsenal big favourites on the basis that all of the other rivals are in transition. Everybody else is a new manager.
Yeah.
Like Iraola's new, Maresca's new, Carrick is newish, De Zerbi is newish, Alonso is new. So all the other, all these guys are new, whereas there's such a value to having, here's how we play, this is our system, all the players know it, all the fans know it, everybody's in tune with the manager. And Arsenal, the only big team in England who has that. Everyone else is in transition. And I think that in itself gives them a big advantage, even on top of the fact they've just won the Premier League and they're going to be really hungry to go and do it again. Yeah. To your second point, I mean, you're right. There haven't been a lot of new exciting signings this season. There haven't been, like we said earlier, most of the signings have been PL to PL. The number of exciting new player from abroad is going to be looking forward to seeing him in our league.
Yeah.
That's not really happened on the same level anymore.
I mean, if Omar Marmoush happens, is it the most exciting attacking transfer? Who else is there?
Rodgers would be the other one.
Oh, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I was going through all the different squads who were doing their predictions, whatever, and this is something I said to John, was that there's a big lack of attacking superstars that kind of exist in the entire league. Yeah. And then you think you probably have more fun if you're attacking superstar going abroad. That's why you get them in La Liga, especially.
I do think that's a bit of a problem for the Premier League.
I agree.
I think the fact that, to me, the one that I always think about now is Elise. Right, like Elise, I know he plays for France, right? But he's obviously, he is from London. He grew up in the English football, so he was playing in English clubs as a kid. Chelsea, released by Chelsea, went to Reading, went to Palace, did really well there. And he's obviously decided to go to Bayern Munich, and I get it. He's done amazingly well at Bayern Munich, and that's a fantastic club, and he plays with world-class players, and he plays with a brilliant manager.
And Florentino Perez made him the guy that he promised he would buy this summer.
I kind of like to think that young, brilliantly talented young players who have grown up in the English system. I mean, Bellingham's a slightly different example, but he obviously played for Birmingham City as a kid, or got into the first team really young. Left at 16, 17 to go to Borussia Dortmund. Hasn't returned to English club football since. I wonder whether he will ever play a game in the Premier League. He may well not ever play a game in the Premier League. And so it just I just kind of fear a little bit that the Premier League it's so kind of driven by the managers. It's so tactical. It's so physical. It's so much about pressing and set pieces and transitions. And you've got to be such an athlete to succeed in there. That I just wonder whether players who ideally the Premier League would want to be playing in the Premier League, I'm sure, would want Bellingham in it and want Elise in it. And if those guys are thinking, actually, I think I might kind of enjoy the football more in a different league. And I know that players have always gone from the Premier League to Real Madrid. This is dead right, though.
I thought
We've always lost players to Real Madrid. So
I think this is true of Bellingham. I don't know that this is true of Elise, because I think Elise plays for Vincent Kompany, and I know that the matches might be easier at Bayern Munich, but the intensity is really high all the time.
No, it is different. Elise, you could see he was a superstar for ages ago. Well, when he's young, coming through the lower leagues, or whatever, people didn't often pick up on him.
Sure,
but I think if Ezri, for example, if he were to play in Spain, particularly, I think he'd be amazing. His EAFC scorecard would be higher because he'd have a lot more going about him. This is the exact thing that I think has made the Premier League. I still love watching it, obviously, but it's just less fun for me. It's less beautiful. Pedri, if he went to the Premier League, would be outstanding, but would he really stand out? Probably not. Same as Thiago Alcantara was unbelievable, playing all around Europe, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. But he goes to the Premier League and you don't really get to enjoy him as much because there's not.
He did have bad injuries, I guess.
He had a bit, but still when he plays, he's still the same sort of player. And I just think you can't quite. There's not as much room for artistry in the Premier League as I would like there to be. Yeah. Sometimes players come along who can do it. The best example of it right now probably is Bruno Fernandes, who is just a sort of weird player who I don't think would, he suits the Premier League perfectly. If you put him into, Spain, or obviously is good in Portugal as well.
If he was at Real Madrid, I think people would call him the best player in the world. I think maybe, for a year or two of his career, I think that could have happened.
That's potentially true. It's hard to work out with Bruno Fernandes. I think he's so suited right now specifically for the Premier League. I think maybe in the past he would have been. Maybe it took time to get there. But that is the issue that the league 100% has, is that if you're really fast That's your power. And like in Spain, doesn't really matter in the Premier League because you're playing against like Kyle Walker, who can, even at 38 years old, is still faster than you.
Yeah.
You're playing against, if you're like a striker who's a penalty box poacher and you need to get in behind, like Miroslav Klose, if you play in the Premier League, you're not going to get much about you. Like you see Man City against Arsenal, the way they're playing a lot slower, more controlled, I thought anyway, under Maresca. I think you'll see a lot of that. The winger's wider, so they get the ball earlier, and so everything slows down, they block the middle. Haaland's going to be surrounded by defenders. Is he going to be able to nip in front? Probably he'll score some goals, but you know, if you're playing the way that he was playing under Guardiola before, or at Borussia Dortmund, he'll get more goals. And so I think that's why a lot of players, it just makes sense to not go to the Premier League always, because you're going to have more fun in the other leagues.
Yeah.
Like Scott McTominay, great example, absolute god in Naples now, because he can play in that league, and the league's a lesser quality, whatever you want to think of it, but he can play the way he wants to, and he stands out. In the Premier League, everyone is an athlete, and so therefore you don't gain an advantage, and so it has to be in other things, either tactical or technically, but everyone is such a high level, it's impossible.
I think also a lot of those best players in the world grow up, they tend to obviously be attacking players, best players in the world, but they grow up wanting to go to the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas. And
yeah,
I still don't think English football, I mean, United and Liverpool are the two, I would say, that they kind of have that similar pull, but they're not the same pull as Barcelona or Real Madrid, or even Bayern Munich in some instances. I just don't think the pull is the same. So I think a Vinicius Junior, for example, if he'd come from Real Madrid to Arsenal, it would have been fantastic and exciting, and obviously I would have loved it and I'd have bought the shirt, but I think it wouldn't have been his dream to come to Arsenal, right? In the way it was Real Madrid. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that will probably be a problem for the Premier League for the foreseeable, unless things start to change. Haaland is kind of the only one, but he's a unique case because his dad played in the Premier League and played for Man City.
Well, but he's also Scandinavian. You grew up speaking English, right? Like I honestly, I don't think ever you will convince the players of Brazil and Argentina and South America who are Spanish, Portuguese speaking people who maybe have closer cultural ties to Real Madrid and Barcelona. I'm not sure that we'll ever convince them that Arsenal would be better. Maybe London teams are lucky, then they're not. No one's growing up saying like, I would love to play at Manchester City from living in Rio de Janeiro. No one wants to move to Manchester because it's raining there. Anyway, it's the end of the show. That's the end of the show. JJ Ball, thank you.
Thanks.
Kaya Kaynak, thank you.
you.
JPB, thank you.
Thank you.
There he goes. And it's also Steve was here.
Oh.
There we go. We'll be back on... this week we have Ring for Analysis out on Saturday, which is a special edition that you will have heard me talk all about in the intro. And we'll be back on Monday with a little bit more.
And you should remind people of the live show that we're doing also.
I mean, the thing is, it's sold out. They've got tickets.
Oh, okay.
So who cares? Who cares? You better remind me. You got to remind me. What? I keep forgetting.
I just remembered now also.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
September 8th.
That's really soon.
Yeah, we need to plan that actually.
We should plan that. All right, see you later.